And then when I discovered, it was my piano teacher is the one that discovered that I had a voice. And I was 12 at the time, and we were getting ready for our forthcoming recital, the piano recital. And she said, Freda, I'm putting together a little group of 6 to sing at the recital, and I want to test your voice to see if it's good enough. And I sang, and she says, oh, Freda, I want you to do a solo. You know, you have a lovely voice. And then after I sang at the recital, my mother's friends, they were asking me to sing at their show, like their banquet or their church or whatever. And I started doing that. And then I started in a talent contest. And I won a talent contest on TV in Detroit called Ed McKenzie's Dance Hour. And I won it twice. And after that, things just started to, happen. And one thing led to another. Then I sang on the radio for 3 years in a show called Don Large's Make Way for You. And that was a choir. It was like a whole choir. We did everything. It was WJR, and it was nationally syndicated. And Don Large used to give me solos very often. And that also helped to give me visibility. And then I could have signed with Motown, but there was no Motown then. And then Berry Gordy, I became his first female protege when I was 14. He wanted to sign me, he wanted to manage me, and he and my mother just wouldn't get along because she didn't go along with his business acumen. He was a very non-bending, non-conforming. Everything had to be his way. He would not change his ways. But I was 14. He wrote songs for me and all like that. But this was before Motown. Wow. It was part of my history.
The young lady in the yellow, please.
Yes, I would like to say that you're such a classic lady. And I like your dress, and I want to know, do you choose your own outfits? And plus, do you have children?
Yeah, I definitely choose my own outfits. Yeah, and I have a son. I have a son. Yeah.
He travels with you?
No, he doesn't want to travel with me. He does his
Freda
own
Payne,
thing.
Freda Payne.
Every now and then, there have been some times when he has traveled with me, when it's something really nice.
Question right here in the center. Yes.
Are you married now?
I'm single now. I was married back in the 70s. I got married, but it didn't last.
That band of gold, is that what that's about?
Oh no! As a matter of fact, when I first heard Band of Gold, when they brought it to me and said, "This is the song we want you to learn, we want you to record," I said, "Wait a minute." But that night on our honeymoon, we stayed in separate rooms. What is that all about? I said, this song is for a 15 or 16-year-old. I said, what kind of... They said, don't worry about it, just sing it. And I'm glad I did.
Yes.
How do you stay in shape? You're amazing. How do you keep pushing your team? You need something to keep in
Well,
shape.
I'll tell you, I've always been, first of all, I studied ballet when I was like 12, 13, and then modern dancing. And then when I got to be in my early 30s, I discovered yoga, and I started doing yoga from 1973 on.
Wow.
And that's what I usually do. That's my exercise. Now, because of my knees, I've had to back off of the yoga because there's certain postures I can't do.
Okay.
And even simple things like a warrior 1 or warrior 2 lunges, it aggravates the knees.
Okay.
And so I have to back off for yoga. But I belong to a gym, and I still go to the gym, and I work out with a trainer, but in moderation.
Okay.
Moderation.
So that brings my question to Freda, being on the cover of Jet and the cover of Ebony in a bikini.
In a bathing suit.
Yes.
And then there's the one with you, Jane Kennedy, and
Eartha Kitt.
all together. Was it Jet?
It was the cover. It was a Jet cover. Yeah.
What's that like? Like barbershops everywhere.
Well, it was. I was like a pinup. And then there's another picture of me that that came out, and it was a real sexy picture with all my legs it was like an opening that was split all the way up to the waist. And I swear to God, now what they're doing now, what they're wearing now, that is nothing.
Right.
You know, that's nothing. You know? But back then it was a little looked upon as a little bit risque. Yeah, but now
Couple more
they show
questions.
everything.
We've got a question right here.
How did Bring the Boys Home come about?
Well, Bring the Boys Home. We were at war with Vietnam at the time, and this was 1971. And they were looking for a follow-up to Band of Gold because they wanted to get me another hit. And they came, they said, we want you to hear this song. And so I came to the office and they played it for me. And at first it was, they said that Laura Lee was supposed to do it. But then what I said, oh, I like it. You know, it brought tears to my eyes. They said, well, we're going to cut it on you. And that's how that came about. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
A couple more questions, and we have to wrap up.
Yeah, I got to sign this.
Any more questions for Freda? If you were,
You gave him the who? You gave him my.
Oh,
yeah, and there are how many CDs you have left? 3 total left. 3 total CDs left. Trey has a question.
I do have another question. You say
This is
that
Trey
you
since
had
we
an
have a light
opportunity
carry
to go to
background.
Motown, but your mom wasn't having it. But Holland Dozier Holland, who I heard one of them you went to high school with, who were the hit makers at Motown.
Right.
How did that come about where you went afterwards
Okay.
with Invictus?
Okay, here's what happened. Barry wanted me back when I was a teenager because of his attitude and my mother, saying wouldn't give in to his excessive demands, and he would compromise. That was then. So let's escalate up another 10 years or so. I was living in New York, and I get a call from a lady that I knew who's also a singer. Her name is Tamiko Jones. I believe that she's a resident of Atlanta. At least she's been in Atlanta for like about 35 years. Anyway, she was a singer back then as well. And she said, Freda, guess what? She called me up. She said, guess what? Somebody that you know, an old friend is here. And it was Brian Holland. And so they invited me to come over where they were. And Brian just said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm still performing. And he said, are you with a label? I said, my contract just ran out with ABC Paramount. He said, do you have a manager? I said, I just finished 5 years with the manager I had. I don't have a manager right now. He said, well, you ought to come with us. And so one thing led to another, and they flew me back to Detroit, and I signed with Invictus. That's how that came about.
And Unhooked Generation was the first single, right?
Unhooked Generation was the first single. Yeah, I went to school with Brian Holland, and I went to school with Lamont Dozier.
I told you he loves you.
I'm
a
real fan.
See?
I'm a real fan.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what we would like to do, if you would like to, for those of you, I'd like you to come up as opposed to that way. Freda doesn't have to bend down. You guys can come up. The rest of and the rest of you, if you want to, if you would like to get a photo, no touching because of everything
Yes,
that's
of
going
course.
on, but we'll just make it very, very brief. And thank you once again. So, otherwise, whatever we do, we're going to do up here. So, otherwise, thank you and have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Freda, thank you, Steph.